6.
What? Starting out with a blooper already.
All right.
All right. Hello, parishioners of Holy Family in St. Thomas. Father Steve, if you didn't know, Laura Evans, Director of Religious Education. We talked last week about doing something on Fridays just to kind of interact and to give some knowledge and kind of have fun with it. And so just so happens with our social distancing that why not start it now? So these are meant to be kind of comical, but yet informative. So our intention is we've started a YouTube channel for Holy Family in St. Thomas. So we are going to upload videos that maybe we've recorded ahead of time to that channel, but also with YouTube, you can go live, and then on Facebook, you can go live. So maybe sometimes we'll do some lives, and that way we can interact. But the whole reason of doing the YouTube channel was for our parishioners that don't have Facebook. We want them to be able to see the videos and also comment and like and whatnot. So we hope that you're super excited about this. We're excited. We don't really know what we're doing, so we're just gonna wing it. If you've got any ideas or if there's any questions or topics you want to know more about, just let Father Steve know and he'll do the research.
Exactly.
And then I'll just say I did all the work. So, all right, so today we are going to do some Catholic fun facts. So we kind of grabbed some that are pertinent to Lent, and we just coincidentally circled 3, and we're like, hey, that's perfect because you know the Trinity. So, all right, so the first fun fact that we'll share with you is all Catholics are expected to perform some sort of penance every Friday, and the U.S. bishops recommend abstaining from meat. So, Father, what do you have to say about that?
Well, of course, we know that everybody kind of goes back to Vatican II, and for some reason, people think that with Vatican II, that a lot of these practices kind of went out. We see, like, for example, in our churches where we have communion rails removed and other things that are kind of taken out, that a lot of these practices went away. But that is not the case. You'll find many Catholics even today that still perform acts of penance. There are many priests and religious, some of our laity that still abstain from meat. That's been a practice more common for their families, how they grew up. So they continued that practice. But it is good because, again, we're talking about penance. And of course, we know that penance is never fun, right? So, but it can be.
It can be.
Because we're uniting ourselves to Christ. And that's the main reason why, when we talk about penance, we're talking about, giving up something, making some act of
Sacrifice,
right?
I
So
got
because
you.
you're making some sacrifice because always tied to our sinfulness. But the idea that we're uniting ourselves more deeply to Christ, that in his suffering, as we talk about, especially during Holy Week, we talk about his passion. And so in his passion, we know that it's his passion, death, and resurrection are the 3 main parts of his life. Okay, so that he suffered, he died, but he rose again. And so sometimes it can be that, and especially during the time of Lent, we always hear people grumbling, right? They grumble because, well, what do I have to give up now? Or why do I have to give up this? But always put yourself in place of Christ. What if Jesus had said, knowing that he was to give his life, well, Father, why must I do this? And do I have to give this up? Do I have to? Imagine Jesus complaining to his Father. He didn't. He didn't. In fact, he reached out to the Father.
Right.
For guidance, for his support. So, so in a way, the church is really, we have to think of it as not individually our penance. It's the church kind of bringing about that penance. So all of us together, you could say in a sense, are suffering together. So, but it can be joyful. A lot of times we think that penance is just about no joy, we're sad, but even Jesus said, don't always look pitiful because you're giving penance, but don't let other people know what you're doing. That's part of it too, is that we don't want to advertise to everybody, okay, I'm giving up this, I'm giving up that, and sometimes we do that because we want people to know, but
I'm a good Catholic, look what I'm doing.
That's right. Because again, Jesus says, we don't want to be pointing out the good that we're doing. Our Father knows in silence. He knows what we're doing. So,
The nursing home I worked at in Quincy, on Fridays for lunch, they always had fish. available. And because there were a lot of, I think of that older generation, like that pre-Vatican II, like they still, like you were saying, do that penance every Friday by just eating meat. But what was funny is on Ash Wednesday, never had a meatless option. So,
Wow.
yeah. And then isn't there something too where a lot of people throughout the year, not just during Lent, at 3 o'clock on Fridays, stop and like, is it that they pray the rosary or something to commemorate Jesus dying on the cross?
Right. So, because another thing too is that with Fridays, we always want to think about Good Friday. Basically making every Friday a Good Friday because that's what it is. And what made it good was the sacrifice of Jesus. That's what made it good, is that he suffered and died for us. He went to his death knowing that he was doing good for all of us, even though people didn't understand what he was doing. But that we do treat every Friday like a Good Friday, that it is at that 3 o'clock hour, that's what scriptures tell us. They may not give us an exact time, but the church teaches us that if we look back, you can, by doing calculation, that it was probably about 3 in the afternoon. One thing that's kind of interesting too, and a lot of people have said this, is if you'll notice sometimes, and you might notice this, it could be a sunny day, and at 3 o'clock, you might see a little bit of a shadow, which is interesting. But I've noticed that too. You might see a little bit of a shadow come over. And why that is, we don't know. But I mean, I've noticed that. Some people have. They've noticed that it might get dark for a little period of time, very, very short. But just to remind us at that 3 o'clock hour, see, so that shows us that God is present to us. God is...
So everybody go outside at 3 o'clock.
Exactly, that's right. Now don't look up at the sun, but see the shadow if you can. Okay.
All right, fun fact number 2, beaver does not count as meat. Have you ever had beaver?
I've never had beaver.
Oh, me either.
I know some beaver trappers that have eaten beaver up in the UP, Upper Peninsula, Michigan. Mountain men, as they call them.
I'm sure people say it tastes like chicken.
I'm sure it does. I've never had beaver, though.
And it says, not because we don't know they're mammals. Theories differ as to why the beaver isn't considered a meat. But the consensus seems to be that beaver tail is plenty penitential enough. Eat up.
That's right.
Maybe we can start doing parish beaver fries instead of fish fries.
We could.
Like, what part of the beaver do you eat? Because you know, like chicken, you got the wings and you got drumsticks.
We just think of their bodies.
Right. I mean, they have like...
Exactly.
They don't really have arms, like they're...
You could eat turtle, too. I've had turtle, that's good.
Is turtle considered meat?
I think so. I guess yeah.
I shared something on the Facebook page about what was considered meat and not.
You did, actually.
Yeah.
Was it alligator was not considered? Was it
I
one
don't
of those?
remember.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a like normal meat type of person. Like I'm a chicken and cow and turkey.
Exactly.
And pig.
Right.
That's it.
Right. But I think that's why it's so hard for us as Catholics in the U.S. because we have been really spoiled, having so many good things around us, chicken and beef and all that. But maybe sometimes we need to think about in other countries throughout the world, maybe some of the third world countries.
Yeah.
They don't have access to those things. Those are considered, kind of luxuries.
Right.
To have.
Delicacies.
Delicacies. And so so in a lot of these countries, they may give up something else because maybe they need to have that nourishment.
Right.
So for them, it may be, okay, chicken's not plentiful, but if they had the opportunity to eat it, they would.
I mean, I like me some chicken, so I'm not turning that down.
Yeah. But the whole point, again, is about, going back to the first
right.
thing that we talk about with penance, that's part of penance, is that we're, we're trying to abstain.
Right.
And that just means, we give that up for a period of time just to kind of deny ourselves.
Yeah.
Deny ourselves of our comforts. So.
All right. Our final Catholic fun fact for today is you don't have to fast or abstain on solemnities. So first off, what's a solemnity?
Okay, so solemnity.
Consensus, solemnity.
Laura's rubbing off on me. So solemnities would be those holy days that would apply to an event in Jesus's life. So as as the Son of God here on earth, many of the events in his life. So, for example, you think of his baptism, or any of the events that have to do with this.
So like yesterday, we celebrated Saint Joseph.
Right. So
if that would have fallen today,
right.
we could grab a plate of bacon.
You could,
chow
exactly.
down.
And so part of that is because they also relate to feasts. So you have solemnities are also feasts. So part of that
You can't have a feast without meat.
Feast, that's right. So if you think about it, when Jesus says, that the disciples will fast when he's not in their presence. Well, think of this as a way of a gift being given to the church, that for that period of time, maybe during Lent, it could be other times throughout the year we have solemnities, but especially in Lent, we recognize we're giving up something. So now the church is saying, kind of as a way to spread this joy of this celebration, would be we lift that fast or abstinence for that. If it fell on a Friday, for example, would be meatless. So solemnities could also pertain to Mary. So we think about those associated with Jesus' life. So it could be Mary and Joseph, or days that relate to Jesus himself.
Okay.
Like Christ the King would be a solemnity.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Good. All right. So we hope that you just deepened your Catholic faith now. And again, we plan to do this every Friday. Comment below or shoot us messages, texts, emails, and let us know about different topics you might want to learn more about. So, anything else?
Just read that there.
Oh, Father wants me to read something here. This right here? Okay, feast days, this is in regards to that last one we just talked about. Feast days don't have the same weight though, so stick with the fish sticks on the Feast of the Chair of Peter. Makes you want to pay a little more attention to the liturgical year, doesn't it? Because I think they're saying you could get a pass on those solemnities if they fall on Fridays during Lent. So, okay, so Beaver, chicken.
I say chicken.
I vote chicken too.
Okay.
All right, so we'll see you guys next Friday. Bye.
God bless.